Good morning. Welcome to my first bathrobe garden tour. Grab your coffee. Let's go. Let's check out the front yard garden. I'm going to try not to be too loud because I don't want to wake up my neighbors. So you can see here we've got some sedges in front of the chokeberries. This is Aronia melanocarpa, black chokeberry. It's a great shrub. There aren't too many native shrubs that are like a reasonable height. This one really only gets 5 to 7 feet, but remember a lot of our conventional shrubs are supposed to be like 12 to 15 feet, like lilac. They're supposed to get really, really big, and we cut them down to 4 feet all the time. So this one being a maximum of 5 to 7 is really not a problem. What I do is I just kind of take the longest branches and I prune them. So they don't look like a ball, but wow, they are really giving us quite a few berries already. You can see each stem is just loaded with, they're actually not berries, they're called drupes. They stay on the stem for a while. My flagstone path has a few weeds in it, but you can notice over there, I did add some creeping thyme. And that creeping thyme really takes over pretty well. It takes about a year, and then the creeping thyme pretty much covers everything. So in this bed, it doesn't look like there's very much happening. I have a lot of Pennsylvania sedge right here, but I also have bee balm. This is Monarda bradburyiana, Bradbury's bee balm, and looks like they are going to be blooming very soon. And then on the inside of this little triangular bed, I have blue mistflower, which I think is Conoclinium costylium. That's a tough one to say. Anyway, it's very late to come up, but it spreads magnificently. It's kind of an aggressive spreader, so I only recommend this to somebody who has a little bit of time to keep their eyes open for more of it spreading. You can see that the bluebells have finished blooming, and all of this foliage for our bluebells, this is all going to die back, and we're not going to see any of this foliage. It's a true spring ephemeral. We also have our coneflowers right here. They're looking really healthy. I actually just planted these here because I didn't know where else to plant them one fall, and then they just loved it here, so I left them. I do have some stems that I left up, which is kind of nice because the robins are busy this morning. I left these stems up, not just because insects overwinter in the stems, but also just in case we have some goldfinches, if they want to see if there's any seeds left from last fall. So you can see I have creeping thyme between these flagstones. Well, there's a little bit of Irish moss growing as well. My neighbors planted those many years ago, and I still see it popping up. Love it. And so the creeping thyme does really well, but it does cover all the flagstones. I don't think I have it in me to go and uncover the flagstones and just try to have the creeping thyme in between them. That sounds like it's kind of a lot of work, and that they're going to regrow anyway, so I just kind of let it grow. This isn't a high traffic area, so it doesn't really bother me. You might have seen earlier that I have some flats here of native plants. I grew these indoors after stratifying over the winter in the fridge. These are purple coneflowers, Echinacea purpurea, butterfly weed, Asclepias tuberosa. These are zinnias. These are going to go to a friend's house. And swamp milkweed, Asclepias incarnata. So here you can see that Carex rosea is blooming right now. We don't really think of these sedges as blooming, but of course they do. They have little flowers on them. You can kind of see why it's called star sedge. It's got these little stars. It doesn't look its best right now because after it goes to seed, it kind of lays its leaves on the ground so that the seeds can get close to the ground. And then once it's done doing this, it will fill the center back up with foliage. See, right now you can see it's a little empty in the middle, and that's going to be gone within about a month. They're going to put out some more leaves in the middle, and it's going to be beautiful. I actually cut back the Carex rosea. You can see there's one here that got really large because it had a little bit too much sun. And so I just kind of gathered it like a ponytail and I just chopped it. You can see how different it is. This is Carex pennsylvanica, which is, still mostly upright, and it has these dark seed heads right there. Really beautiful. And so right now Carex rosea just kind of looking like in a few weeks it's going to be a lot more beautiful. I do want to talk about this bee balm right here. I wish I knew what the nursery trade name was for this bee balm. This is bee balm that I got from my mom's house. She just has one clump, and I love it. It's beautiful. It grows very dense, has like a magenta color, and it's very hardy, and it can take some shade. So I really love it, but unfortunately, I don't think it's available in the nurseries anymore. So I just kind of keep propagating it and just get a little bit more every year. See that Carex rosea right there, kind of making it look a little bit messy. See, this one gets a little bit more sun. So when Carex rosea gets too much sun, it kind of explodes. So you can kind of see what I mean here. And I'm just going to trim that back because I just don't want it laying all over all of my plants here. I do have a clethra right here. The bunnies do tend to eat the clethra, but I'm looking forward to it getting a little bit bigger, especially once I kind of take this Carex rosea off its tail there. Every corner of the garden is special. I even have this little tiny corner where I just have some wild ginger and Carex pennsylvanica and the Virginia bluebells. Look at this. This is the Virginia bluebells right here, which this is all going to be gone. This is all going to die back. And underneath, I have the beautiful wild ginger. The leaves here of my wild ginger are so big. I mean, let me see if I can get some reference for you of how big they are. It's so wild. It's a woodland plant, but it looks so tropical right now with these huge leaves. It's really pretty, and it's great for keeping weeds down. No matter how good you are and how much you plan, you will always have creeping Charlie if you're in my neighborhood. Yep, there we go. It is what it is. Okay, let's go past this Carex rosea, rosy sedge, and we'll go out into a more full sun garden. What's growing right here is asters, woods blue asters. This is a cultivar. It's a very low growing. I do see a lot of bees on it. I have a cultivar called Purple Dome. I don't see as many bees on the Purple Dome as I do the woods blue. The only problem with the woods blue is that obviously it's an aster, so the animals love to eat it. And here I have a bunch of coneflowers and black-eyed Susans. So the coneflowers are seeding everywhere. You can kind of see I've got some volunteers here. Sometimes early on it's hard for me to tell the difference between the black-eyed Susans and the purple coneflower, but for reference, here's our purple coneflower. And here's our black-eyed Susans. A little bit more compact, fuzzy, a lot more aggressive. So some of these black-eyed Susans I'm going to have to take out. I have plenty of black-eyed Susans in the front garden, and I just don't need that many. I'm probably going to give them away. Finally, our swamp milkweed has come up. Here we go. There we go. You can see the stem from last year. I left a little bit of it up. These little holes in the stem, sometimes there's little bees in there, so I try to leave them as much as possible. Here's another coneflower where I left the stems. So you can think, okay, well, these stems look kind of ratty right now. You're not going to see them in a few weeks. Oh, and everybody's favorite, this volunteer catalpa. This showed up last year, and it's going to have to go because I have other trees here and I can't have a catalpa growing right next to them. I'm hoping to find a good home for it. I love catalpa, but they can be a little weedy. Behind it, I have a Baptisia that is like, it's a miniature variety. It's like a dwarf variety of Baptisia that's supposedly also native. So I just wanted to see what the dwarf Baptisia would be like, because the large Baptisia, it is large. Now next to it, I do have what is it called? Baptisia alba. Yeah, so I have a Baptisia alba here, which is a different species with white flowers, different form. You can see the little blue stem is finally starting to come up. These guys come up late. They take their time. They make sure that it's going to be warm. And this is a northwind panicum. So it is a native grass, but it's a cultivar. Some of the other panicums can be a little bit aggressive, and I only have so much time to weed. This is the anise hyssop. You may have seen my video on anise hyssop. I love it. It does kind of volunteer everywhere. This patch is doing really well. I'm really proud of this tree. This is our sassafras. So sassafras is a little slow to get started, so you have to have some patience in the beginning, but it looks like it's putting out a lot of growth this year. Really excited. Oh my goodness, is that another catalpa? Okay, so, that's kind of how it is with catalpa. I love this little corner. I've got Sporobolus on the bottom. This is Prairie dropseed. And then behind it, I have a bunch of penstemon. So it's kind of like a little skirt for the penstemon. And on the right here, I have some spiderwort, which has beautiful blue-green foliage. So it's kind of nice that it's bluish green with the other greens that are a little bit more limey. And penstemon does have a little bit of variation in it. Some of the penstemons are red. They have a little bit of a red tinge to them. Now there are cultivars that have been cultivated to be very, very red. And those are a little bit different. I'm not sure if caterpillars can eat those red leaves. This is naturally occurring, and I just can't wait until these bloom. They're so beautiful, and I just love the way they look with this Sporobolus. And as you can see, there's no reason for me to mulch down here because I've got plenty of leaves covering the ground, and it's not even the middle of May. And the star right now of the May garden is our Baptisia. Oh, it's gotten big. This is Baptisia australis. This is the straight species. This is not a cultivar of Baptisia. It's just the real thing. The camera really doesn't do it justice. I try to color correct it so that it looks like how it does in real life, but it just isn't the same. As lush and beautiful as the Baptisia is, it's very drought tolerant. This thing will stay green. I've never seen it wilt. Okay, some people told me that last year during the drought, their Baptisia wilted and kind of flopped over. And that is the first time I've heard of that happening. The drought was pretty bad. But usually this one doesn't need to be watered. But when these are all blooming, when you have the purple spiderwort and the white penstemon, against the backdrop of the Baptisia and the prairie dropseed in the front, this is just a really great full sun combination that I love. And then look at this, we've got this wild geranium volunteer right here. Just doing good work. This is a lance-leaf coreopsis. I don't know if I'm going to let it stay there. They are very aggressive. And then, of course, my prickly pear cactus, Opuntia humifusa. You can still see there's some fruit on it. I don't eat the fruit because there's a large seed inside and there's very little fruit, and there's also a lot of spines, and just for me it's not worth it. Sorry. I'm a little worried about eating the spines. They do hurt. There are a lot of people who know how to prepare this properly, and I just didn't grow up doing it, so I'm not super comfortable with it yet. Beautiful flowers. We're slowly trying to take back the garden from when we put all these rocks here. So you can see me trying to recover from my mistakes. This is all Sporobolus here, prairie dropseed, and I did plant some viburnums. One of our neighbors had large viburnums and the birds really liked them. The next neighbor did cut them down, and so we just put extra. We just wanted somewhere for the birds to be happy. So hopefully this will fill in, and then we'll just continue to remove rock as we're able. Now this is a really special flower. This is Penstemon grandiflorus. It's kind of a rare plant. It has beautiful flowers, and I successfully grow it from seed. I have a bunch of it growing, and I just love this flower. It's got almost like a succulent kind of leaves, so it's very drought tolerant. It really knows how to protect itself from drying out. and the flowers are larger and they're beautiful. I'll go ahead and show you a picture of that. They don't grow as quickly as the other penstemons, so I'm just constantly trying to fill in the bed with this stuff. They're kind of not always easy to find. You can buy them online. This is a threadleaf Coreopsis cultivar, and I'm trying to mass these together. They have beautiful yellow flowers and they just look really great together in a mass because they have these fine leaves and then they just kind of make a big, almost like a shrubby hedge. It's really cool. So I'm hoping to kind of grow them all together. These are a little bit older than the other ones. And of course, I do have a volunteer anise hyssop here that I didn't take out last year, and this is gonna have to go. So I'm gonna have to give this away to someone who wants it. And I'm also not sure what this is. This might be an aster of some kind. This is also a volunteer. So I do get volunteers all the time. If you were thinking about putting down rocks as a mulch so that you can avoid mulching and just use rocks, just know that these rocks are my nursery. Yup, they're a nursery for native plants. Basically, they seed in here and they grow here all the time. And so I've actually pulled out plenty of native plants from this rock bed this spring and replanted them elsewhere. There's a penstemon right there, and there's a lot of anise hyssop. So rock mulch is, I would not recommend this. This is, one of our learning experiences in the garden. I'll just say that. It does look nice when I'm able to weed it, but you do have to weed the rocks quite a bit. Plants do love to grow in the rocks. Of course, people will say, oh, nothing grows in my soil, nothing grows in rocks. Yeah, that is not true. There's one more really special area I want to show you. I did want to show off my iris here. I got these from a neighbor who was just a wonderful, generous person who said that she had some native iris. And she said it was the native blue flag iris. Sadly, the cuttings were not the blue flag iris. This is Siberian iris. I let them stay though. When you do give away plants, try your best to have a good identification of the plant so that your friends know exactly what they're getting. These do spread quite a bit, so, and they have to be divided, so it's just one of those things. They are pretty though. So yeah, not a lot blooming, but it is beautiful. There's my front yard garden tour. Thanks for spending the morning with me.